someone who's quite tall, athletic, plays on the wing, but usually opts to bring it infield.
Cuts inside, one of them ones.
Cuts inside, likes to play as a bit of an inside forward, quite narrow. And, he's equally capable of going on the outside, so it's good for him to have that variety. But, yeah, I think this is a name that we're going to be hearing quite a lot more about in the coming weeks and months.
Jay here for Stretford Paddock. That is Finn, otherwise known as Academy Scoop, which means this is Academy Review, where we take a look at the Academy, at the under-21s, and see what is going on with Manchester United youngsters. Finn, good to see you. How are we getting on?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Palace on the weekend, but there's also a lot of Academy news to be talking about, a lot of good performances, so I'm excited to get into it.
A lot of goals, isn't there?
A lot of goals, yeah.
Hey,
a lot of big
goals.
performances.
Is this show going to be the JJ Gabriel appreciation show again? Because we kind of get sort of almost, it's like we're on repeat every week because he's doing so well. Just as a sort of preview before we get going, is it going to be a lot about him?
I think you can't have an Academy review where he's not done something ridiculous, because that's what he does every week. But we've got plenty of other players to talk about today. Some kind of newer names emerging that we haven't spoken about so much that I think we'll be talking about a lot in the coming weeks and months. So yeah, there's a good little mix that we got.
I'm looking forward to this, man. I enjoy it. I always do. Let's get into the under-21s then, because they give Leicester a bit of a hiding, didn't they?
Yes.
Earlier on in the week, I think it was.
Yeah, Monday night. Unfortunately, another game that wasn't broadcast. We've complained so many times about the fact that MUTV just aren't really on it when it comes to broadcasting these games. Hopefully that's something that's going to change, but...
Well, they want to change it.
Yeah, for now there's not much that you can do. But it was a 4-1 thrashing.
Yes, I think 3-1 isn't a thrashing, 4-1 is.
You think that's where...
I think that's the threshold. It's weird though, because I think we battered City with that 2-0. You know, when Michael Carrick's first game back.
If it's a proper dominant performance, then you can call it a thrashing, even if it's
but I feel like 4-1 you get away with it no matter what. Even if it's a crap performance but you've beaten 4-1,
but then
you
is
can say
like
a thrashing.
Is 6-3 a thrashing?
That's a good question.
Like 6-4?
6-3 I think is a thrashing. 6-4 feels like it's like almost like a 10-goal thriller.
It's a bit of a Leon type. Yeah.
It's not quite thrashing territory because you've conceded 4. 6-3 you probably get away with. Remember when City beat us 6-3?
Yeah.
And we were actually relieved it was 6-3.
Yeah, towards the end of the game it actually felt alright.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 10-0 at one point. Yeah, those are the days.
Anyway.
Sorry, I digress.
So we not much to talk about with this one because wasn't able to watch the full game. But the main takeaway was that Chido Obi scored all 4 of United's goals.
Good stuff. Love that lad.
Back to doing, what you expect from him in terms of his goal scoring rate. He's always been a prolific goal scorer. We know that he absolutely smashed the under-18 goal scoring record at Arsenal, came to United, did the same, broke the all-time Premier League goal scoring record as in his first year at Arsenal, an under-16 player, and then at United, still not even a first-year scholar when he broke that record. So
class.
Silly levels, but obviously he came with a lot of noise around that time when he made the switch to United.
The switch that you broke, by the way, Scoop by name, Scoop by nature.
Exclusive. And obviously he made his debut for United's first team. There was a lot of hype, a lot of noise. Admittedly, some of that coming from us and other people who follow academy football, and obviously it didn't go just completely in that same direction from that point onwards. It's been a little bit up and down, but I think now he's in a position where he's making steady, encouraging progress, a little bit more quietly, a little bit more kind of behind the scenes, and he's quietly developing into a really, really top level player. This game evidenced that, really, really well. The 4 goals were posted on social media through various channels, and they evidence like a really good variety of abilities, the way that he's developed in terms of playing, especially against slightly more physical players, because I think that's what one of his kind of stumbling blocks was. I think he'd been so dominant partly because he was so physically developed for his age, so playing against under-18 players was a bit of a walk in the park. So his first goal was a kind of standard header off a corner, but really, really good to rise above Leicester City's defenders, showing good physicality, good timing of the header, pretty standard. The second one was beautiful. He received the ball back to goal on the edge of the box, turned with his first touch, and then squared up his defender, shifted it onto his left foot, smashed it in with a really good finish from a decent way out. Just really, really class goal. And he was so you could tell that he'd visualised what he was going to do. It was kind of so instinctive, and he's playing with an intensity that maybe he lacked at other times, maybe looking 6 to 8 months ago. That was something that some people said it looks like he's maybe not trying as much as he could do, or he's lacking a bit of intensity. It wasn't like that for this game. And then the other two is played into the left channel in the second half, I think, played in behind, dribbled towards the goal and then chipped the keeper really well. And then the last one was kind of similar to the second, picked the ball up, back to goal again, turned really well, knocked it past the defender, showed really good pace, and then a really, really nice finish, kind of a deft touch into the bottom right corner. And it was a top performance, and showed that he's really come on leaps and bounds in terms of his like all-round goal scoring ability and the variety of goals that he can score. So I think the fact that he's now developing with a little bit less of the spotlight on him, I think could really benefit him. And I think looking towards the summer, there might be a loan on the cards, or we'll have to see if he's asked to stick around. Yeah, I'm glad to see him doing well back for the under-21s. I think he was really unlucky in his sort of venture into the first team, if you can call it that, with what happened last season coming in under Ruben Amorim. Rasmus Højlund was very up and down, and it felt like Chido was like sort of almost, there was too much expectation on him. This wasn't just he was coming into the first team, people looking at him to start certain games and to be the main man. And whilst his performances I thought were decent, he obviously didn't get a goal, which as a striker you always want to get on the score sheet. Plus he couldn't play in the Europa League, which was the one competition we were actually scoring loads of goals. It was really weird that he wasn't given the opportunity to do that. It was so annoying that, because in the league we'd more or less give up on it, hadn't we? We weren't going to get relegated and we weren't going to do anything else, so it was just like, who cares? But in the Europa League we looked at it as, okay, this is our pathway to Champions League football and winning a trophy, of course, and he couldn't feature in those games. So I felt sorry for him. I'm glad he's gone sort of back to the younger team, because me and you were chatting earlier, and it's like sometimes if you throw in a player in the first team, it's not quite happening, a young player, and you stick with them and keep doing that, it can stop the growth, it can stop their development. Absolutely. Where you let him go back there, score loads of goals, and then when he's ready, if it's a loan move, or maybe next season, hopefully we'll have European football, hopefully we don't get knocked out of both cup competitions in the first round, and we'll have more games for him to feature in. So maybe even if it's halfway through the season, you start seeing him feature on the bench or getting a few minutes in certain games. Who knows? That could be the move. But certainly, you can tell from what you've said and from the goals we've seen as well, he's a hugely talented lad. He really is, and there's no way you can start giving up on him already. That'd be insane. I think part of the reason that there's some worry around him is just because of how early he made that breakthrough. He was 15 and 16 breaking those records, which is so much earlier than we've ever really seen before from a striker, especially one of his kind of style. They tend to make their breakthrough and really develop a little bit later in their careers. So I think it's easy to forget that, but he's still just 18. He's got so much time ahead of him. He's still, the rate that he's scoring at for his age is still really, really impressive. So I think just need to give him time, but it's still got so much potential. Could not agree more with any of that, and hopefully we'll see lots more goals from Chido Obi and eventually see him in that first team. But like we've said, there's no rush. What else have you got for us? Just in terms of where the under-21s sit now, still top of the PL2 table. Looks like the title is still on, playing really well under Adam Lawrence, who's back at United. Which is really had his little venture to Newcastle, realised it was shocking, and then came back. I think that's a massive positive for United, because he's a top level coach, and I'd love to see if he sticks around, or we'll see what the future holds for him. I'm a big fan of Adam Lawrence. In terms of the under-18s, bit of a goal fest. We had 2 games. Between the 2 games we scored 9 goals, conceded 2 against Wolves and Derby County. I think if we went through each goal individually, we'd be here all day, but there are 2 key players who really, really stood out in these games that I want to talk about specifically. Okay. The first one is a household name. He is actually a household name. He actually is. Do you know what? I think that every United fan knows who this guy is now. Yeah. And it's for good reason. Of course, I'm not saying it to criticise you, right? But he's every week there's something else he does that you go, wow, he goes viral for a clip of his goals or whatever. Yeah. And this week was no different. Yeah. So JJ Gabriel, of course, now the top scorer in the under-18 Premier League, 16 goals in 16 starts at 15 years of age, started the season at 14. He scored 4 across these 2 games, 2 against Wolves, one of them a penalty, not much to say, but really well taken. The other one, just such a strangely impressive goal.
Yeah.
One of those ones where you just watch it and think, what's just happened there? Where you can't really explain it. He picked up the ball on the edge of the box, weaved between a few defenders, turned kind of back away from goal, and it looked like maybe he'd try and get a pass across the box or kind of recycle the ball. Nope, smashes it in with his left foot from a mental angle into the roof of the net. He just does things sometimes where no other player would really contemplate attempting it, let alone executing it the way that he does. So it's just a silly good goal. And Noah Ajayi is the other player that I want to talk about in this Wolves game. Also got a goal of his own. He's really good at kind of shifting the ball and shifting his weight to create shot separation. This time he did it onto his left foot, again around the edge of the box, shifted it onto his left foot, finished with kind of very little backlift. That's another thing he's good at. Finishes quickly, and so that was really impressive. But yeah, these two, JJ Gabriel and Noah Ajayi, have started, especially past the new year, have started to strike up a really good attacking partnership. So Ajayi tends to play as the left winger. JJ Gabriel has been playing more as the number 10 through the middle this year, because he can kind of play anywhere across that front line. He's been trusted to play in a number of different positions. But yeah, Ajayi's a player who's really emerged in 2026. One of the first team, the first year scholars that signed their scholarship deal last summer, and he's come on leaps and bounds recently. He was born in Hamburg in Germany, moved to England when he was 10. He was born in 2008, so he's part of that first year scholar group, and he's also eligible to play for Nigeria. So he's right-footed. There have been some early comparisons to wingers like Cody Gakpo, a few comparisons to Marcus Rashford in terms of someone who's quite tall, athletic, plays on the wing but usually opts to bring it infield.
Cuts inside, one of them ones.
Cuts inside, likes to play as a bit of an inside forward, quite narrow. And he's equally capable of going on the outside, so it's good for him to have that variety. But yeah, I think this is a name that we're going to be hearing quite a lot more about in the coming weeks and months. He also scored 2 against Derby County in the 6-1 win. 2 really fantastic goals. One of them assisted by JJ Gabriel.
What a combo.
Of course. Brought the ball down, first touch, after a long ball, just tapped it across to Ajayi, who, again, it was kind of a similar shift of weight onto his left foot this time. Onto his right foot this time, smashed it in from outside of the box. So again, showing really good ball striking ability. And it seems like he's got a lot of really good tools in his arsenal that could make him, looked into for a first team option maybe sooner rather than later, because he's been training with the first team recently. Physically, he looks like one of the most developed players suddenly out of this under 18 crop. And yeah, I think a lot of his goals and his performances did the rounds on social media, and I think people have started to notice that he's definitely one of the leading players in this age group. Well,
100%. Me and the lads were chatting off the bar the other day, and we were talking about next season, what the squad could look like, and there was a couple of comments about Ajayi and saying, look, you need to look at him, and I think a few people referenced the fact that you had been speaking about him as well, and how well he's been playing, and how not sort of come from nowhere, because I think he's always been there thereabouts, but more recently he's been getting a lot more attention, hasn't he? Yeah,
and I think in terms of his background, I remember hearing about his name maybe 3 or 4 years ago, in terms of just someone thrown out there as one of the top players in the younger age groups. I saw him play in Hong Kong when United were on tour there, the under 16s, and he stood out as a top player then. I remember he won, I think, a couple of penalties, scored a couple of goals, looked like a top attacking player. And yeah, I think he struggled with injuries since then, which is frustrating. But this season he's been playing a lot more games, and yeah, he's really, again, like you say, not come out of nowhere, but made such good progress to the point where he's now really influencing games. Also scored a fantastic goal in the FA Youth Cup against Oxford, so definitely one to keep an eye on. And he's got that kind of profile that means he's someone that will be looked at as one of the options who could be fast tracked due to that physicality. And I think it's good because him and JJ Gabriel, obviously both shining in the same team, but their ideal positions, they both want to play left wing, and it's really good to have 2 players of kind of very different profiles, because I think like I've said, Ajayi is your kind of classic inside forward, tall, fast, pacey, looks to go, 1v1, whereas JJ Gabriel, maybe a bit more of a showboater, but can do a bit of everything. There are comparisons to players like Neymar, just in terms of the skills, creativity, but also that goal scoring ability, especially through the middle. So one of his goals against Derby County, picked up the ball around the halfway line, assisted by Kai Rooney, who came off the bench.
Yep.
There's so much.
Wayne Rooney watching his kid the other day, didn't we?
There's so much talent in this team. It feels like so many of these attacking players are just doing really, really impressive things, especially for their age. But yeah, he picked up the ball of Kai Rooney, ran it straight through the midfield towards goal. They should have never given him as much time as they did, and he was able to unleash a really powerful shot from outside the box. First time, right foot. And again, he's another player who doesn't really need much backlift. JJ Gabriel, he can create so much power. And yeah, they were just on fire together, and it's a partnership who, especially with the FA Youth Cup progressing, United looking to go into the later rounds of that, I think they could be really important for the rest of the season. So it's been really exciting to see them kind of develop and foster that relationship together, and I think they're two players with big futures.
It's so exciting, it's so good to see, and these are typical. I've not seen loads of them, obviously, like you've watched far more of them than I have, but when I watch the goals and the clips, that is what in my mind a typical United player is. Someone like that wants the ball, gets on the ball, goes past players, always looking to move forward, to create things, excites you, gets you off your seat. That's what United is about for me, and I think we lost it a little bit, but if we can get either of these two or both of them eventually into the first team, then the sky's the limit in there, because the hype around JJ Gabriel has been there for a long time, and now, like I said earlier, we're hearing more hype as well about Ajayi. So yeah, long may this continue, and I'm excited to see what the sort of the FA Youth Cup holds as well, because that is a competition that holds a lot of prestige. United have got a very strong history of it, won it more times than anyone. And if these two can help us lift another one, I think everyone would be absolutely buzzing, least of all me, especially when you've got games at Old Trafford as well that people can get down to. So yeah, just so exciting and so good to see.
Yeah, and speaking of FA Youth Cup, the next round, the next fixture that United have has been announced. So it's against Sunderland on the 18th of March, 7 p.m. kickoff at Old Trafford. So I'm sure tickets will be on sale soon on United's website. Anyone who can should get down to that game, show support for the young lads, and also be able to see some of these really, really exciting players who could have a big future at United in the flesh, see what they're about. So that's really exciting to look forward to. And yeah, I think United have real good chances this year of winning. You've got this really exciting kind of young crop of attacking players, but this group is also supported by some very good experienced players, especially deeper in the field. So your likes of Dan Armour, Godwill Kokonki, Jim Thwaites playing in the midfield when he's fit. These are experienced players who can kind of lead from the back to set up these younger players who have that flair and that exciting kind of X factor. So I think there's a real good balance to this team that make them suit something like the FA Youth Cup, that kind of cup competition. So yeah, exciting times, and let's see how far United can go.
Absolutely. Finn, always a pleasure chatting to you, especially when you're talking about victory after victory and goals and more goals and players absolutely smashing it. It's been a really positive one this week. Good stuff as always. Make sure you're following Finn Academy Scoop on all your socials. He's going to be with the channel as always. He's going to be back for the watch along for the Palace game as well, so you'll see him on that one. Go and follow him. Make sure as well you're hitting like, share and subscribe, and you're checking out the merchandise. There's a link in the description. That's been Finn. I've been Jay. This has been Academy Review. Thanks for watching.